To give you a brief background of Manav, Manav works with Intel and he started with them a while ago, but he's brilliant at one thing. He's brilliant at building his job. He's pretty much curated his role, and one of his jobs has been building the entrepreneurial piece globally for Intel. And literally what is meant is letting people realize their dreams, take their dreams from ideas to reality. I'm going to invite him so that I don't take more time than this. Over to you, Manav. We have about 25 minutes. Thank you.
Fun to match up to, but I'll try my best. I hope this is useful for you. Can I have the foils? So, Sairi is always very nice and makes you a rock star. And, she gave me a topic like dreams, idea, and personal roadmaps. And I said, will it look like this? It is like, something that I got on my WhatsApp of a week back. And it says, great thing to share with your children, right? And I said, wow. And when I was like 16 years, 17, I would have taken a printout of this and put it on my room. I got it finally, right? I got it. I know where I'm headed and where I need to go. And of course, to me today, this is a piece of art. Fantastic. I wish I had got this, right? This is a fantastic piece of art. But as I look at it today, it looks to me a maze. And with no offense meant to the person who created it, of course, this is really valuable for everybody who's going through, and let them consider it. But to me, this looks like a maze right now. And the reason why it looked like this maze, it took me significant time to come out of it. So I exactly knew, where I'm headed to. And you could imagine, like a person who wants to become a cricketer, whose passion is cricket, and he gets this like maze. Okay, there's an MBA, here's an MBBS, and this is what you can go about it, and that's what you do, right? And that's why it looked like a maze to me right now. And I went from maze to another maze, which is corporate. Like after doing my engineering and MBA, okay, this is how you get a sales job. This is how you do like product marketing. This is how you become a senior product manager. And these are the things you need to do to become the CEO one day, right? And wow, I got it. It looks like I had it figured out. And then came Intel, and there was a manager of mine who said, I'm in Intel. I would like to hire you, if you're interested in Intel. But it is not a sales and marketing job, which, believe me, I couldn't have. I'm not that intelligent that I've got this code. Is there a clicker? Okay. How do I make it work? Oh, this is there something? It just makes so much sense to me now, right? And believe me, had I read this 10 years back, it wouldn't have made sense to me. But, I'm pretty inspired by this. I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. And to me, that has been the 10 years at Intel. The moment I gave my education up, or my schooling up, I got educated. I got educated into the world of corporate affairs, which had e-systems and government, on policy, and various stuff I did. And then, something else happened, which is last 5 years of the job, that is, okay, let's go and look for entrepreneurship and innovation. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. And these are some things that I have learned last 5 years as I did this job on entrepreneurship. And these 5 years have taught me significantly the most when I've really given up the path that I thought will make me successful. So I'm not sure if it will make me successful still or not, but I've learned tremendously in these 5 years that I would like to share with you. And I interact, I have the privilege and the opportunity to interact with people like you and talk to amazing entrepreneurs, talk to young people across the world in 30 countries, and help them get their idea to reality, help them grow your business, and help them matchmake with the Silicon Valley VC. So I do tons of stuff on entrepreneurship development, right from early stage startup to later stage startup, and just making sure that we are seeing some really cool startup coming not just from the Silicon Valley, but from different parts of the world, because that's so much happening outside there, right? And that's what I believe in. So here's something that I'm really proud of. The company that I work with, Intel, I work as a global manager. I just did a wearable accelerator with Brian Krzanich, the CEO, working for Intel CEO. Has been a great experience, and I've been doing that for the last 1 year on wearable computing. How do you commercialize your idea? Wearables is going to be the next big thing after mobile phones. That's what everybody says, and we believe it too. And our idea, our perspective is how do we get the right innovation, how do we interact with the garage inventors, innovators, entrepreneurs, and get the right wearable stuff out in the market much faster, much quicker than what it would have already happened. So that's my one of the things that I'm proud of. UC Berkeley, because of the work I do with entrepreneurship, I'm a senior fellow at UC Berkeley. I help a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm involved in entrepreneurship education. I work a lot with the entrepreneurs and get their idea to reality in emerging markets specifically. And something that I'm more proud of is that I'm on tag team of a lot of entrepreneurs like you, pro bono, nothing in it for me, but working as a friend, as coach, as mentors, just helping you take your idea to the next level, wherever you are, just take it to the next level. And something that I'm also very proud of is, in that tag team, my wife and my mom are involved as well. So my mom, she went back into a career in theater, which she always wanted to. She activated and now has a theater group. And my wife has her own outfit, and she's a stylist for everything that she wanted to become right when she was a girl, pretty young, and not her education. And the most one that I'm really proud of is being an office boy to both of them. Right? It's like I sell tickets in Shriram Center when they put up the show, which is equivalent to the Rang Shankara here, or the Prithvi Theatre in Mumbai. And I print posters for them, but I'm really proud of that. And something that I'm really going after, and I wish Kritika was here, but if I was not afraid, what would I do? And that's what I would do, 1 million for 1 billion. There are 5 billion people who are still on the internet, not on the internet. They are below the poverty line. They are above, below the $10 per day kind of income. And that's still very high, by the way. There are enough people, 3 billion, I think, who are on $2 or something like that. And I believe that why aren't all of us taking enough steps to activate enterprises for that billion, 5 billion, which is the majority of the world? What can we do to really impact that level? 1 million of us. Can we create initiatives, actions, innovations, jobs that will impact 1 billion people? Just one out of the 5 billion people who are not impacted right now. And I'm doing a tons of stuff there, which I'll talk about later in my foils, and share with you what I'm doing. But let me talk about the 5 things I learned. See if that makes sense to you. Anything that I say is not right, it's not wrong. It's my personal experience. It may make sense to you, may not. Just consider it. There's nothing right or wrong that I'm saying right now. These are something that is personal experience. So the first thing, which there was a question there, right? No matter where you are, you're going to fail. There are more failure stories today that successful people can tell you than their success stories. And I'm sure you can tell hundreds of failure stories that you are hiding today. I'm hiding. And I hope that person doesn't ask me that question. But you're going to fail. You're going to fail. I don't know how many of you are entrepreneurs, want to be entrepreneurs, in jobs, whatever it is, but you're going to fail, irrespective. Irrespective, you're going to fail. Most entrepreneurs fail. All of us in jobs fail. You can't hide that. Now imagine if we allow ourselves to fail. What can happen? If we allow ourselves to fail. Yeah, you learn. But the bigger thing that hampers is the fear of failure, not the actual failure. So a lot of things happen when you drop the fear out. Today, if I share some stories, I work a lot in the Silicon Valley, a lot in the innovation clusters like Boston, Munich, London. And the first thing that comes to me, you talk to anybody who's successful, they have more failure stories, and people are openly sharing their failure stories. You have CEOs who come into a student room and say, this is how I failed. And they are more proud of their failure stories. Yeah, but there are people who are still not made it. right? They still not made it, and they even share their, people come and say to VCs, give me money, I've got 3 failed startups. And VCs look at it as, and people look at it as, a new word for failure is experienced. So you're experienced. There are enough organization today, they're publishing failure-friendly report cards so that they can hire a failed entrepreneur. Because many people who are like innovative, who like to be on the go, they don't want to work for big organizations anymore because you get trapped. So there are a lot of organizations which are attracting these people. So it's pretty much a done deal now. There's a professor who's a very good friend of mine at Princeton. He's just starting a course on failure in Princeton, how to deal with it and be okay with it. So there's a ton of stuff happening here. So allow yourself to fail, and a lot of things might show up. Second, for those of you who think entrepreneurship is not for you, think again, because this is what the situation is in a corporate world. Can anybody just tell what this means? What is this? Yeah? Okay, what else?
The old rules change. You can put in 5 years.
Okay, what else? Very close. Yeah? Okay. Okay. So very close. The escalator is broken. So the people at the top are standing at the top. Imagine you're in an escalator and it's not moving. Because the people at the top are not moving. The escalator is stuck. Right? So if you think entrepreneurship is not for you, think again. Because you still have to be entrepreneurial to navigate that situation. Right? Because the escalator is broken. So to be successful in today's corporate world, if you're thinking of going to corporate, or if you have friends who are in the corporate sector and think that entrepreneurship is not for me, believe me, entrepreneurship is for them. There's a distinction between being an entrepreneur and being entrepreneurial. So you may not be an entrepreneur, but all of us are entrepreneurial. We know entrepreneurship. Right? We've been doing that all our lives. We've been navigating through situation, and that's what entrepreneurship really means to me. And to be successful in Intel today, believe me, I don't know, this doesn't even make me afraid, it makes me laugh. If I have to become a CEO of Intel, what would I do? Probably something crazy, I don't know what. Not that I want to be, but it's crazy, right? If I want to be an Intel CEO, so I have to do something really crazy, probably just come up with a plan for a $1 billion revenue or $2 billion revenue in a market that Intel is not present today and get that completely on Intel. I don't know what I have to do, but I have to do something really, really, wacky. Next, entrepreneurship is not an extreme sport. We all think entrepreneurship is an extreme sport. It is not. That's how I grew up. That, entrepreneurship is risky. It's not safe. And as I did this job in Intel, something that I was really fascinated about was how can we make more people start businesses, right? Something you look at, you go to different countries, even in India, you have entrepreneurship boot camps happening, the accelerators happening, great meetings happening, fantastic. But in the same country, you also have people saying there are no jobs, people have social issues, there's so many things happening. Right? How come there's a mismatch? People saying we need jobs and there are no jobs. And you have the entrepreneurship accelerators where people are not showing up, and some people are showing up definitely and they're taking it. But we don't see people showing up and solving issues. And that has made me wonder, what can I do and what can my team do as we work in these 30 countries to make people start up their venture where there are no jobs? Specifically, started in the Mideast, right? What can we do in the Mideast to make young people start their own businesses instead of burning down what happened in the Arab Spring? And we were all during the Arab Spring in Cairo, when the buildings were burning down, we were doing entrepreneurship boot camps with a bunch of young people who believed that they could make a difference. So, and when I did this job, something that I wondered was, let's take a step back. And I'm sure you are entrepreneurs here, this is no brainer for you. if you step back, you look at, how do you become entrepreneur? And you said, I have to be innovative. And you say, okay, great, you are innovative. Now, what do I have to do to become innovative? You step back and say, I want to have a great idea, and ideation is important. And that's where it stops. And he said, no, there's something else in it. How do people ideate and innovate and become entrepreneurs? And that is, if they have a passion for it. How can you make people get rid of their failures, free entrepreneurship from the curriculum geography style of teaching, as if, you're teaching a curriculum on entrepreneurship. It's not going to happen that way. Entrepreneurship is a calling, it's not a job. It's not going to happen that you're going to do a course and entrepreneurship will show up and you're going to be, okay, you might still happen, but there's something that is very, very common in all the people who are successful, and that is it has been their calling. So if you look at it, something that we really went after is how do you make people fall in love with a problem? And that's the only thing that we focused on last 5 years. How do you make people fall in love with the problem that they identify? It's not a Silicon Valley problem. It's not a mature country problem. It's not US person looking at Africa and solving something. How can you solve something that is happening in your backyard? Take the first step to entrepreneurship. And that's what we've been doing and finding and having amazing results. And this is the result that actually we've had significantly. We have done quite a work with women entrepreneurs. Because something that I also wondered as a question was, why don't women show up in entrepreneurship summits? Why don't we have more women in startup competition in the accelerators? Why aren't women ventures getting funded, when you go and talk to VCs? There are whole different reasons about it, but there's still not, there's still not enough women venturing out in the entrepreneurship space. And we did this workshop then with a lot of women on women issues, and believe me, we had tons of success in that. So I got this opportunity in UN where we were working on UN, and there was a summit was happening, Girl Up. Right? And we said, okay, let women solve women issues. All these issues that we are worried about, women empowerment, women security. Look at what's happening in Bangalore, right? The security of our children. Women relate to these problems the most. We all come out in candles, we go out, put protests. Why don't we go beyond that? What will it take to go beyond that and set up a venture which is sustainable? It's not charity, it's not protest, it's not activism, but it's sustainable venture, which will make this real for every girl who goes in the Bangalore school. Could you do something to start a venture in that space? And I believe yes, you all can, because you all relate to that problem the most. So we've taken this initiative where we said, okay, let's talk about issues, problems that people relate to. It's happening in their backyards. Let's solve those issues. And can we do something about it? And we've got some success. It's still really early days. We're nurturing a group of women entrepreneurs. Women are really coming after it and starting their own business on issues which are impacting them and their community. And that's what we are now doing. And I believe that if you get people activated to their passion, something that they relate to, believe me, innovation happens, entrepreneurship happens, everything happens. You don't have to really worry about it. No course is required for it. But just get people activated, and a lot of young people activated. And that's the kind of work that we are doing. And happy to share some of those stories. Last one, as you do this, so this is something that I got outside IKEA, and I just took a snap. I had to take this photograph because it's okay to change your mind, right? And that's the last lesson I want to talk about today, that as you go in your journey on whatever you're doing, you might be in a job, you might be in your business, you might be thinking of starting a business, you might be thinking of growing. Believe me, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be silly. And some of the stuff that we've actually done is when we allow people to be silly in our workshops, we have got the best results. Because you solve problems, challenges by having fun, not in a very constrained environment. So it's okay to figure out, I made a mistake, I'm going to change my mind, I'm going to start something else. Right? It's okay to say, okay, this was my best venture, I'm going to do it. I mean, I'm not saying just abrupt it, like do a proper completion, make sure there's a proper handover, you talk to your employer if you think of giving up your job. But it's okay to change your mind. And that's something that I really want to talk about in this case. And And we say that don't get caught in the monkey trap. If you're already an entrepreneur, don't beat yourself. If your solution is not working, give up the banana there. Give up the banana there, because if you don't give up, you're going to fail anyway, right? If you get some sense that people, it's not a big market, people are telling you maybe it's a mistake, that's fine. Give up, don't be a monkey. Give it up. And the story is about a monkey who gets trapped because he doesn't want to give the banana, and he gets sold. Right? So that's what we tell entrepreneurs, that if you're figuring it out in your journey, that, okay, this is the idea I wanted to start off with, this is not where it is going. There's a very intelligent term for it today called pivots. And he said, okay, I pivoted. Basically it means I changed. I pivoted, right? So think about it as you do your stuff. Last one. Sorry, I have a last one, which is small is big. Small and big. So, all of us grow up and saying we're going to be the next Google, next Intel, next Facebook, or let me think something big. And entrepreneurship is really not one world. It is 4 worlds. And entrepreneurship applies to a lot of people. So there is put food on the table. So person outside who's a street vendor is an entrepreneur as well, right? He has to make it work for him and his family. You run a small business, that's entrepreneurial. Tons of stuff are actually in that space. That's what drives the economy, SMEs, And then there's the social entrepreneur, change the world. And of course, the big style, Silicon Valley, Intel, Google, Flipkart. Now we have the Indian entrepreneurs as well there. But all of them started with taking a small step. Look at the small in the big one. And no matter what you are doing, look at starting small, really, really small, being as specific. And it's not that those terms are not good in entrepreneurship. Be specific, start small. Don't think, I'm not saying don't lose sight of the horizon, but start something specific. Facebook was nothing but a good app to connect friends. That's it, with Mark Zuckerberg and his team started. And look where it is, right? It was a small one. A lot of Intel, 2 people were having fun and say, can we create microprocessor in Intel happen? And if you look at it, what can we do really for $1 million, for $1 billion? And that's what it is, that no matter where we are, how can we help 1 million people get activated? How can we help 1 million people get activated? That start ventures not just for themselves, but also their community. Also for people who are lesser privileged than us, who won't be in this room ever. So can you do something around it? So we've taken this task, a few of us from Intel, Google, UN, we've sort of come together and started this non-profit initiative, activate1m1b.org. And we are going after this. We're really going after this and say, okay, how can we make young men and women start up ventures which is going to impact the billion, the next billion. And I really believe in the power of enterprise to solve some of the big issues, the big problems, like on education, healthcare, women empowerment. And I believe in the power of sustaining it. There are tons of work already going on and tons of good work which charities are doing, NGOs are doing, and others are doing. But how about setting up a social entrepreneurship venture which actually impacts 1 billion people? So that's what it is. So we are starting something called the Change the World Fellowship, and the idea really is that, like you would like to work for Intel, Google, what if you are to work for life? Would you give your 2 months to an agenda which matters to life? Think small. Don't even think about setting up an enterprise. Something that you always wanted to do and take action, but always bothered, how will I file? How will I become a 501c3? How will I get the legal structures? Forget all that. Can all of us come together, 1 million of us, and come up with an entrepreneurial project, forget where it goes, and just take a small step that, okay, let's create 10 jobs in this next 3 months. Let's use the power of the internet. And internet is a big one that all of us are really going after. That can you use the power of the internet to create jobs? Can you use technology to create jobs? And all of us, we are doing some work in India, in the rural parts of India, and taking the same Silicon Valley style of entrepreneurship in these areas. There are another person who's on the team who's taking this program in the Caribbean region, another person in Colombia. There's a person doing it in Spain because that's where there's a huge issue of youth unemployment. So we are doing a lot of this work along with the UN, and we plan to showcase it to the UN in September 2015 at a conference where we are getting 10 of such people, maybe someone from you, who gets together, shows an impact, and that's what we need to get to all the policymakers, that that's where the money needs to go. That's where those are the policies that you need to frame. How do women get jobs? And these are potential ideas that if you invest in respective countries, that's how women can get jobs. And these are ventures that can become successful. We can still earn that money that I can earn in Intel. You know, we can earn those money. We may not be billionaires, but you can set up still these ventures which will probably give you as much money as a corporate job will give you. And that's what all of us believe in. And that's what all of us are going after. So if you're interested, just log on and let us know in case you're interested on this. And I break rules, right? I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I have a sixth one, which I want to share. But I'll just pause. In case there is time, I'll share it. But I'll just pause in case you have questions, and then go after the sixth one, which is really a bonus sixth lesson learned. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's very encouraging to know that there is a push towards supporting entrepreneurship or just thinking innovatively or framing. As someone who works extensively in the social enterprise space and with student entrepreneurs, I would pause a little bit before encouraging people to fail. Give a hallmark for people to fail, because the cost of failure in the social sector is high, not for the entrepreneur but for the beneficiary. So the failure reports you talk about, David Danvers' TED talk and engineers without borders. As much as there's encouragement for failure, there's also a request to stop and think about if the idea is really relevant to your beneficiary. That's what we encourage in our students as well. We say it's not a good enough idea if it's only an idea for you and not for the person you're trying to impact, to think at the bottom of the pyramid. So that's one observation. And the other observation is, as much as most people in the room are entrepreneurs, some of us don't want to be entrepreneurs, but we want to work with them. It's the kind of work that I do. So I think looking for forums or, pathways or channels that really recognize that there are people that go into the making of entrepreneurs other than only investors. So where is the place for us?
You're talking to a person who's on your side. I'm more on your side. So I'm part of the entrepreneurship education movement. So I work a lot with the faculties. And every time I get this objection when I say this from a person who's from the academic space. And I think you're perfectly okay in the question, and I get it. And I completely get it. And something that I do a lot of work, and we do a lot of work, is with faculty, because that's how change will happen. So let me just step back. I'm not saying be okay with failure. I'm saying get rid of failure, fear of failure. I'm not saying, we've done enough, tons of stuff, and I'll invite you to some of our workshops. We start with these young people, and there's like the first hour is the toughest because nobody opens up, and you just say you're allowed to fail. Allowed, doesn't mean you can fail or wherever it may go. We are not worried about it. But the things change the moment we say you are allowed to fail. I'm not saying go and create a medical diagnostic which kills somebody. I'm not saying that. The cost of failure in biotech and medicine is huge. We're not saying that. We're saying just get rid of the failure so that you take the first step. What I see as a big challenge today is people taking the first step. The first step is the hardest one. Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of ventures do you encourage, and at what level do they let them and give them?
Every level. So a lot of work that personally I do is work on a really early stage entrepreneurship, which is even pre-angel stage that I do, but I have my colleagues in Intel Capital, so I work like in tandem with them, and good ventures. I'm the eyes and the ears, so if there's a good venture, I'll just pop it up and say, okay, something to look out for. We do a lot of work in high-tech, high-growth space, so that's typically where we... Technology or something that will foster technology. But that's Intel Capital. As a person who's in corporate affairs, we work in all ventures. Even if you are a biotech venture, we work with you. It may not have anything to do with Intel or Intel chips, or that's fine. Yeah, I'll come to you. Yeah.
You said that in the startup accelerator, you see very few women. And that's the general stereotype of 20, 25 companies all having fun in startup accelerator, learning mostly about technology. So where can a woman fit in, and how can, what should they benefit, and how can they benefit from it?
You know, and I don't know. So I know women are born creators. I know they are great at multitasking. I know they manage fantastically in chaos. And I wonder, why aren't more women in entrepreneurship? You know, but there's something right going on in the Latin American region, the South Americas. We see a lot of women entrepreneurs coming from that region now, not in India, unfortunately. And as much as I would have probably try to push that agenda, and that's what I'm really here for. But something going right in Colombia, Chile, not as much as Brazil, but yeah, in that continent, something is going right.
I'm not, but I have a friend, my friend, I'm a doctor, and I have seen a lot of this disparity happening. All through the academies, right from the beginning, the children are taught trophy, success.
Yeah.
You know, oh, no child should feel bad, so every child is given a gift or made them for no reason. So when they go through this whole process, eventually when they come out and go into this professional space, so it could be the training section or it could be later the job section, they are not able to, one, they overestimate themselves. This is a candid observation. And the second thing is that when they do not perform the way they are expected to perform, they actually come to us with breakdowns. I have seen stress manifestation in their job, which classically 30 years back I learned as middle management syndrome. And we are saying that in 20 something. So how does one actually deal with it? How do you, I mean, if you ask me, I would say the parents need counseling, but that's a different story. How does one deal with that?
Let me tell you how I am dealing with it. I have a son, 11-year-old, and another son, 4-year-old, something that I'm really proud of and has spent a lot of time. But you know, what I just say is, how can I make them fall in love with something that they want to do? So it might sound very generic, but today, you know, there are people going for various classes, right? You see them going for hopping from classes and they don't have time. They play cricket, they go to robotics classes, they go to painting classes, and there's so much going on, right? It's so hard. Sorry? And plus come first in class, yeah, truly. There's so much expectation that even I put on my child. And I try to not to, but of course sometimes you make those misses, right? The only thing that I'm trying, and I don't have an answer, I wish I had it. Some of these are just questions and probably will stay questions all the time, right? What I just say is, so let me talk about my son Lakshay, right? We're thinking of putting him in a coding class or not, right? Everybody's going in a coding or a robotics class. And we said, is this for him? And we said, I don't know, let's send it. I and my wife are having these debates, and we just want to make sure that we are really doing the right thing. And I don't know what is the right thing. As a parent, I'll never figure it out. But he comes to me just 3 days back, and he's playing Clash of Clans, which is a great game that he loves, and he doesn't want to give his iPad. And he says, I want those coins, but I don't want to pay for it. Okay, so you go to the next level and say, he said, I know hackers do it. And I said, you know who are hackers? Hackers are coders who have just gone wild, right, in some way. He said, I want to learn coding, right? So what probably a bad example, but what I'm trying to do is what can he feel, what can he love? How can he fall in love with something? So, we need to figure this out somehow, that, what are people in love with and what are children in love with. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So let me give you, yeah, we'll take this offline. Any last question? Okay, number 6, can I take 2 minutes or 5 minutes? Okay, so number 6. So number 6, and I want to leave you with this video. Just look at the video, and this has taught me a great lesson that I want to round this talk off with. Can we have the video? So very quickly, the lesson here is, I was making this video with a friend who introduced me to some people who are in the movie, business of movie making, and we made this to tell everybody what entrepreneurship can happen in different parts of the world. And there was a time then, the people were just not getting the story. They were just not getting the story, but they were telling me, showing me scripts that didn't work. And at one point of time, I lost my cool, and I just gave it off to those people. And then my friend John Danner, who had introduced me to him, and he's a professor at UC Berkeley, he said, "You don't know who they are." And I said, "I don't care. They are vendors. We are paying them for it." And this last lesson comes from that moment where he says, "Why don't you Google?" And I Googled. The person I was talking to were actually co-founders of Pixar, and they had made the Toy Story. And they were in it because they wanted to help me out, because I wanted to go out and impact the billions. So no matter what you do, how successful you are, stay humble. You never know who you are talking to. The person sitting next to you could be the billionaire that changes the world. Thank you.